A new day dawns, and with it a new beginning is declared. He walks the sterile halls of a prison built for the unnatural. Inside a cell, a demon known as the Little Corpse Sprite pleads for her freedom. Meet Gu Qingfeng, an intern exorcist worried his face is too generic to be a protagonist. The demon's tears vanish, replaced by a potent, seductive aura. Gu Qingfeng is immediately caught in her spell, flustered and unable to speak. He fights the illusion, remembering the many guards who fell to this very creature. Finding his resolve, he dismisses her enchantment as a cheap, transparent trick. He turns his back on her, leaving the demon utterly stunned by his resistance. She watches him go, unable to believe her powers had failed so completely. A violet flame erupts as the demon changes her strategy. In a flash of light, her form shifts into something far more alluring. Her voice now a command, she orders the intern to set her free. The spell whispers promises of power through cultivation with a maiden. Gu Qingfeng desperately tries to ground himself in the reality of the prison. He tells himself to turn away, to not look back at the deadly illusion. But the temptation strikes him like a lightning bolt to the brain. The demon changes tactics again, from sweet seductress to stern punisher. And our boy's reaction is, well, it's not exactly fear. He rationalizes that a quick glance can't hurt as long as the door stays shut. He reasons that with her low cultivation level, she can't possibly escape. With a tearful pep talk, he convinces himself he's making the right choice. He finally turns back as her voice sweetly calls out to her husband. The demoness poses for him, a perfect illusion asking if he finds her beautiful. And just like that, all professional conduct is thrown out the window. The sound of a key turning in a lock echoes through the prison hall. Gu Qingfeng opens the cell, unleashing the very monster he was meant to contain. Her seductive smile twists into a look of absolute, triumphant victory. The mask of the beautiful maiden falls away, revealing a truly sinister grin. Her true monstrous power is finally unleashed from its cage. The girl attacks the boy and sinks her teeth into his neck. With a demonic expression, she tries to bite him. In chibi style, she bites his shoulder while he looks confused. The boy falls under control with heart eyes, shocking the girl. The system announces a demon attack and activates his defense. The boy scratches his head, confused by the situation. He irritably asks about the strange sound disturbing him. The girl behind the bars reaches out toward him again. Both scream in panic as they see something terrifying. The boy runs away in fear, shouting about a ghost. She wastes no time, launching herself from the cell with deadly intent. Gu Qingfeng can only watch in horror as she closes the distance in an instant. A blur of violet energy, she barrels down the prison corridor. Her face is a mask of pure, unadulterated malice. She crashes into him, not with a kiss, but with the force of a battering ram. He accepts his fate, only to see a strange system notification pop up. The impact sends them both careening into the stone wall behind them. The demoness stands over him, savoring her apparent victory. But our boy isn't dying. He's just discovered he's in a video game. He ignores the demon completely, trying to communicate with his new system. The system confirms it's a private interface visible only to him. It's the Become Stronger system, which turns any demon attack into a power-up. A dangerous realization dawns on Gu Qingfeng. He's now invincible in this prison. The demoness, furious at being ignored, launches another vicious assault. But a flash of light intercepts her, warping her very form mid-strike. Gu Qingfeng turns, admitting the system's sudden intervention was a bit startling. He's not scared, just annoyed that his beautiful monster is now a toddler. The once terrifying demon can only look up in a state of pure confusion. Her confusion quickly boils over into a tiny fanged tantrum. Her power drained, she can only glare, accusing him of disrespecting her. The demoness, somehow back to her full size, lunges at him again. Her hand closes around his throat, crackling with demonic energy. She hurls him across the corridor with contemptuous ease. A brutal punch connects, sending him crashing to the stone floor. But the system chimes in, rewarding him with another defense boost. A dangerous thought crosses his mind. What if he made her even angrier? He mentally taunts her, asking if she needs to put more effort into it. The demoness looms over him, her patience worn dangerously thin. His mockery sends her into a state of absolute incandescent rage. She unleashes a furious barrage, and his defense stat skyrockets with every hit. He sits amidst the lingering energy, feeling the power coursing through him. He goads her on, demanding more as his defense stat continues to climb. But he notices the gains are diminishing with each successive blow. Gu Qingfeng wonders why the system is suddenly giving him diminishing returns. The system explains the stronger he gets, the less effective her attacks become. A new realization hits him. He needs to find stronger demons to keep leveling up. With her purpose served, he dismisses the demoness with a swift kick. And just like that, the tables have turned from prisoner to personal masseuse. He lies back, ready to enjoy the fruits of his newfound invincibility. But the demoness, now a furious toddler again, is not taking this humiliation lightly. The system announces he's maxed out his defense, unlocking a new talent. Gu Qingfeng rises, casually informing the demoness her usefulness has expired. He grabs her by the chin, the power dynamic now completely reversed. She can only stare in shock as he forces her jaw open. His cold gaze meets her terrified one, a predator studying his prey. He questions why she hasn't changed back, his patience wearing thin. With a crack of his knuckles, he decides to teach her a lesson in obedience. A wicked smile spreads across his face as he prepares to test his new skill. And by test, he apparently means repeatedly kicking her until she complies. Defeated, the demoness can only weep as her power flickers around her. The demoness kneels before him, her power utterly broken. Gu Qingfeng informs her that her role has changed from punching bag to entertainer. He puts her back in her cell, a prisoner once more. And under his command, the demoness begins to dance for her new master. Every movement is a testament to her complete and utter submission. He even steps in to personally demonstrate the proper form. When she fails to meet his standards, he tosses her aside like a broken doll. He gives a final, condescending wave, telling her to practice the routine. With a final click of the lock, the prison's new dance instructor leaves for the day. Gu Qingfeng walks away, promising to return for her next performance. Gu Qingfeng strides confidently away from the cell he just left. He crosses the vast, empty hall, his footsteps echoing in the silence. His path leads him to what appears to be the prison's main office. He reviews the prison's structure, divided into 3 levels of increasing danger. He realizes his temporary worker status only grants him access to the weakest floor. With his work manual in hand, he decides to start exploring level 1. He takes a determined step forward, ready to find his next power-up. But his grand plan to farm demons is immediately put on hold. A voice from the doorway announces that his shift is officially over. And just like that, the invincible prison warden sprints off to clock out. Back in his quarters, Gu Qingfeng tries to contact his silent partner. He asks if there are other ways to grow stronger besides getting pummeled by demons. The system offers nothing but a loading screen, leaving him completely on his own. Deciding not to wait for help, he sets out to find his own path to power. His search leads him to the Demon Suppression Division's archives. He enters a vast library filled with countless cultivation techniques and scrolls. He scans the shelves looking for a skill to complement his new talent. He finally finds it, a manual for the iron cloth shirt technique. He realizes this skill will perfectly amplify his already formidable defense. Having found what he needs, he makes a mad dash out of the library before he's caught. His grand escape is immediately halted by the archive's attendant. But the attendant can only watch as Gu Qingfeng bolts out the door anyway. He flees with his prize, celebrating his less-than-stealthy acquisition. Back in the safety of his room, he begins to study the ancient technique. Spiritual energy flows around him as he enters a deep state of cultivation. By morning, he emerges from his trance having successfully learned the skill. He marvels at his own genius, mastering a decade's work in a single night. With his training complete, he prepares to leave and test his new power. He confirms the ironcloth shirt perfectly conceals his natural defensive talent. Dressed and ready, he walks through the compound with a new confidence in his step. Gu Qingfeng arrives for his shift, announcing his presence to his co-worker. His colleague, Zhang Zheng, is utterly baffled by his sudden enthusiasm and punctuality. He points out that Gu Qingfeng is known for being consistently late. But our boy smoothly explains he's turned over a new leaf, promising to be early from now on. Zhang Zheng is understandably suspicious of this sudden change in work ethic. Convinced, or at least confused enough to go along, he accepts the offer and heads off. Gu Qingfeng waves him off, his friendly demeanor holding steady for the moment. But the second he's alone, the facade drops completely. A sinister grin spreads across his face as he surveys his personal playground. He wonders which unlucky demon will get to be his training partner today. With the keys to the kingdom in hand, he sets off on his hunt. He approaches a cell bound by chains and glowing crimson seals. His expression is cold, a predator sizing up his next meal. Without hesitation, he reaches out to break the ancient wards. But something on the other side of the door is watching him back. The world dissolves, and he finds himself lying in a sun-drenched meadow. He sits up abruptly, the sterile prison replaced by a vibrant landscape. He questions his surroundings, spotting two figures in the distance. One of the women turns, her movement an elegant, silent invitation. He's captivated by the warmth, a dangerous calm washing over him. He looks up at the sky, questioning the strange red sun hanging above him. But this is no sun. It's a colossal eye, slowly peeling open to gaze upon him. The eye's immense pressure bears down, shattering the peaceful illusion. The beautiful meadow melts away, revealing a grim landscape of skulls and death. Gu Qingfeng finds himself in a wasteland, surrounded by the demon's true power. From the darkness, a hulking, one-eyed monster takes its terrifying shape. The creature is immense, its shadow swallowing Gu Qingfeng as it raises a foot to crush him. He can only brace himself as the giant foot slams down with incredible force. The monster's single bloodshot eye watches the destruction with cold intent. Towering over him, the beast prepares another attack as Gu Qingfeng calls out its name. The system chimes in, rewarding him with a boost to his soul power. He snaps back to reality, recognizing the attack as a powerful illusion. A voice from within the cell commands its humble servant to open the door. Gu Qingfeng's expression is one of pure, unadulterated annoyance. The ancient seals on the door shatter and fall away. The talismans disintegrate, their protective magic completely nullified. He cracks the door open, the voice still echoing its command. A tiny winged eyeball emerges, ready to unleash its wrath, apparently. But Gu Qingfeng simply slams the heavy stone door shut again. The demon can only stare in disbelief, its grand escape cut comically short. Gu Qingfeng stares at the tiny creature, completely underwhelmed by its appearance. The demon flies up to his face, furiously demanding its servant release it. It tries to use its illusionary power again, but Gu Qingfeng remains unmoved. With a swift motion, he snatches the winged eyeball right out of the air. He holds the struggling demon in his hand, a cruel smile playing on his lips. And with a casual poke, he demonstrates a complete lack of respect for personal space. The creature reels back in agony, shocked that a mere human broke its technique. Just then, a fellow guard arrives, mistaking the demon's blood for Gu Qingfeng's. He offers to help, completely oblivious to the real situation unfolding before him. The tiny demon can only seethe in the corner, vowing revenge for the humiliation. The tiny demon recovers, promising to show Gu Qingfeng the true meaning of cruelty. It unleashes another wave of its illusionary power, bathing the hall in violet light. But Gu Qingfeng just covers his eyes, pretending he can't see or hear the attack. He's plunged back into the mental wasteland, facing the demon's true form. A wicked smile spreads across his face. This is exactly what he was hoping for. The monster vows to torture him, its immense spiritual pressure bearing down. It roars for the despicable human to kneel, its voice shaking the very foundation of the illusion. Gu Qingfeng feels his legs buckle, wondering if this mental assault counts as an attack. The demon unleashes its full power, its command to kneel becoming an irresistible force. And just as he's about to break, the system finally responds, granting him a soul power boost. The system floods with notifications as his soul power skyrockets. He's not only maxed out his soul power, but unlocked a new eye technique. His reaction is less "thank you" and more "oh, my aching head." He describes the new vision as a refreshing sensation, clearing his mind. Inside the mental landscape, the demon's illusion remains a king on its throne. But with his new power, Gu Qingfeng easily usurps the demon's mental throne. He decides this little eyeball will be the perfect test subject for his new skill. The once terrifying monster is reduced to its true, pathetic form. He unleashes his own illusion, turning the tables on the tiny creature. The demon can only tremble as it's subjected to a taste of its own medicine. Gu Qingfeng sits on the mental throne, beckoning the demon to approach. The creature is utterly baffled, questioning if this is its own power turned against it. Back in reality, he holds the demon, who realizes its technique has been stolen. With a confident snap, Gu Qingfeng asserts his newfound dominance. The once mighty demon is reduced to begging for mercy as it's kicked away. He begins studying his new ability, realizing the true potential of illusion magic. The technique has two primary functions, creating illusions and controlling his targets. But it has its limits, requiring eye contact and sufficient spiritual power to work. He's thrilled to have a skill that will scale and grow stronger alongside him. He considers its current strength, confident against weaker foes but wary of stronger ones. The system lays out the world's power structure, 5 major martial arts realms. These realms directly correspond to the 5 ranks of the Demon Hunter Department. Each major realm is further divided into 9 heavens, a long ladder to climb. Gu Qingfeng clenches his fist, knowing his chances against a true master are slim. He's aware that he's only at the third heaven of the weakest chi-gathering realm, but in just 2 days, his system has made him a god among his peers. As he plots his next move, a voice from the shadows calls out to him. A prisoner from a heavily sealed cell questions his sudden proactive attitude. The world shifts, and an old man with a cane suddenly appears before him. The man asks if Gu Qingfeng is also here to gather materials for talismans. Gu Qingfeng is taken aback, questioning the old man's strange inquiry. The old man notes that the Demon Hunter department seems to be fighting hard lately. He recalls gathering supplies just weeks ago, surprised they've been used so quickly. With a pained expression, the old man prepares to do something drastic. Gu Qingfeng recoils in horror, completely misinterpreting the old man's intentions. But the old man isn't getting undressed. He's offering a piece of dark wood. He presents the strange material to Gu Qingfeng as a gift. Our boy is utterly baffled, realizing the material came from the man's own body. The truth is revealed. The old man is a prisoner, handing the item through the cell door. The prisoner seems confused by Gu Qingfeng's boldness in reaching into a demon's cell. Gu Qingfeng impatiently demands the item from the prisoner inside. The old man places the strange piece of wood into his outstretched hand. With a strange chuckle, the prisoner turns and walks back into the darkness. Gu Qingfeng is left holding what looks like a simple piece of tree bark. He brings the material closer, trying to understand its significance. The scent of the talismans on the door gives him a sudden clue. He realizes the old man is a tree demon, his body a source for powerful materials. A grin spreads across his face. The prison is a renewable resource library. He briefly considers the ethics of exploiting prisoners for personal gain, a thought that is quickly dismissed as he checks to see if he's being watched. He starts to walk away, dismissing the old man's strange request. But the prisoner's voice stops him, a lonely plea echoing in the hall. The old man asked for a moment of his time, a simple conversation after a decade of silence. He speaks of his impending death, a final wish to unburden his heart. Intrigued, Gu Qingfeng undoes the seals, a flicker of green light breaking the chains. He peers through the door's small window, agreeing to hear the old demon's tale. With a calculated risk, he reaches out to open the cell door. The world shifts again, the cold prison replaced by a tranquil courtyard. The demon begins a long story, a subtle enchantment woven into his words. But his gentle demeanor hides a far more sinister and powerful presence. The old demon is stunned, questioning how Gu Qingfeng entered his illusion. Gu Qingfeng makes himself comfortable, explaining he prefers a more personal storytelling experience. He urges the demon to continue his tale, completely unfazed by the situation. The demon's plan is in shambles, forced to decide between storytelling and brute force. He abruptly ends the tale with a dark twist, revealing the tree ate an entire village. Tendrils of dark energy erupt, but Gu Qingfeng seems utterly unimpressed by the attack. The demon confirms this is the extent of his power as Gu Qingfeng effortlessly avoids the assault. Deciding stories are for chumps, the demon resolves to simply devour his guest. His body begins to transform, roots digging into the ground as his power surges. The gentle old man is gone, replaced by a towering, monstrous tree spirit. Its bark-like skin hardens and its eyes burn with a malevolent green light. But before it can even make a move, Gu Qingfeng sends it flying with a single punch. He scolds the creature for its poor storytelling etiquette, a truly valid complaint. The demon rises, furious that its dramatic reveal was so rudely interrupted. It leaps back, deciding a more tactical approach is needed against this strange human. The demon vows to make Gu Qingfeng pay for his insolence. It unleashes a swarm of dark tendrils, intending to crush him where he stands. For a moment, Gu Qingfeng seems caught off guard by the sudden assault. The roots wrap around him, binding him tightly in their grasp. And right on cue, the system chimes in with a brand new stat boost. The demon lifts him into the air, ensnared by glowing green tendrils. But Gu Qingfeng seems completely unfazed by the crushing pressure. He even has the audacity to ask the demon to try a little harder. Enraged by his captive's mockery, the demon decides to end this foolishness. With a gesture, the roots tighten, wrapping him in a suffocating cocoon. The demon unleashes its full power, intending to crush him into dust. But the system rewards him for his troubles, unlocking a legendary strength talent. A surge of blue energy cracks the prison of roots from within. Gu Qingfeng shatters his bonds, now radiating an aura of immense physical power. The tree demon can only stare in disbelief as its prey becomes the predator. A cruel smile spreads across Gu Qingfeng's face as he basks in his new power. The tree demon scrambles backward, begging the intern to stay away from him. Gu Qingfeng cracks his knuckles, relishing the chance to return the favor. He lunges forward, ready to teach the demon a lesson in true fear. The scene shifts abruptly, the battle replaced by a strange vine-covered wall. And suddenly, the fearsome monster is now a personal masseuse for our boy. The demon's tendrils, once weapons of destruction, now work to soothe his master's muscles. The old man explains his origins, a simple tree corrupted by a buried magic weapon. Gu Qingfeng grabs his face, demanding to know more about this powerful artifact. Beaten and broken, the demon can only complement his master's sharp intellect. The demon explains that magic weapons are ranked in 4 tiers of power. He speaks of a legendary blade, the Wood King's sword, once a powerful Earth-level weapon, but over a century, the sword was damaged, its power fading to a lower rank. Gu Qingfeng correctly guesses the demon absorbed the sword's lost spiritual energy. He cuts off the demon's flattery, his massage session apparently over. Now dressed, he gets straight to the point, demanding the sword's location. The demon claims he hid it from the demon hunters in a place only he knows. Gu Qingfeng rises, his patience clearly wearing thin with the demon's games. He grabs the old man, demanding a straight answer, and the demon finally spills the details. With the location secured, Gu Qingfeng leaves, promising to return for his masseuse tomorrow. The defeated tree demon respectfully bids his new master farewell. Gu Qingfeng walks away, annoyed that his plans have been delayed until dawn. His thoughts drift back to his first student, the little corpse sprite. He finds himself standing before her cell once more, the seals glowing faintly. He throws open the door, announcing his return to his personal entertainer. With a grin, he gives her a new set of instructions for her next performance. The demoness can only blush and agree to her master's strange request. She transforms, though her interpretation of courtesan is a little festive. But Gu Qingfeng is clearly not complaining about the creative liberties. Suddenly, his lecherous grin freezes as a voice commands him to stop. He tells his new dancer he'll be right back, leaving her utterly bewildered. The scene shifts to a bright, sunny day at what appears to be a school. A young student nervously offers him a heartfelt love letter. She confesses her feelings, her face flushed with adoration for her senior. From the sidelines, his other admirers watch with jealous eyes. But Gu Qingfeng rejects her with the most patriotic excuse in the book. He strikes a pose, basking in the adoration of his fictional fan club. And then the illusion shatters as he sends the girl flying with a single punch. The tiny demon reveals itself as the director of this bizarre mental movie. But their little production is suddenly interrupted by an urgent report. The illusion shifts to a grand palace thrown into chaos by unseen intruders. A messenger bursts in, announcing that the leaders of 7 nations have surrounded them. But this isn't an invasion. They've all come to demand the Lord's hand in marriage. The would-be brides have already breached the gates, storming the throne room. One of the women makes her intentions clear, insisting he marry her today. Gu Qingfeng, enjoying his role as king, suggests they can all live together peacefully. The women's desperate cries for their lord echo as the illusion begins to waver. He snaps back to reality, finding himself on a cot with the demoness still in costume. He sits up annoyed at the eyeball demon for interrupting his very enjoyable fantasy. The tiny demon can only apologize, explaining that it's time for Gu Qingfeng's shift. Gu Qingfeng lets out a weary yawn, the pleasant dream rudely interrupted. He gives the demoness a condescending pat, dismissing her for the night. With a final click, he secures her back in her cell until their next session. He leaves for the day, his mind already on his next power-up. A colleague stops him, questioning his unusually cheerful demeanor. He grabs Gu Qingfeng's arm, sensing that something major has occurred. He pulls him aside, eager to share some breaking news from the bureau. He reveals that an entire team of high-ranking demon hunters was just annihilated. Gu Qingfeng's reaction isn't grief, but the giddy realization of a career opportunity. The guard confirms that with 5 hunters dead, there are suddenly several job openings. Gu Qingfeng listens intently, the gears in his mind already turning. His colleague dismisses the idea, reminding him the openings are for hunters far above his rank. He explains that 4 disciples were promoted, and another hunter was moved up to fill a higher role. This leaves just 1 single vacancy for a yellow-rank demon hunter. With all the inner apprentices promoted, he wonders how they'll fill the final spot. A slow, confident smile spreads across Gu Qingfeng's face. The colleague reveals the answer: a good old-fashioned martial arts competition. It's a tradition to select the most capable person to fill the vacancy and inspire others. A competition? It's as if the universe is handing him his promotion on a silver platter. The event is scheduled for 3 days from now, and the sign-ups are already buzzing with activity. His colleague explains there are no restrictions, opening the door for ambitious underdogs. With 3 days to prepare, Gu Qingfeng sees a clear path to becoming a yellow rank hunter. But his real prize is access to the prison's second floor and its stronger demons. A wicked grin confirms it. This is the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity he's been waiting for. His colleague, however, seems ready to deliver a harsh dose of reality. He dismisses the hopes of weaker cultivators, telling Gu Qingfeng to stick to his day job. But our boy isn't listening, urgently demanding to know where he can sign up. Caught off guard, the colleague stammers out the location, the righteous Qi Hall. The gears finally turn as his coworker questions why he's so interested in the competition. Gu Qingfeng is already gone, realizing his system won't protect him from human opponents. He admits that drawing this much attention goes against his low-key nature. But he reviews his new arsenal of skills, a power far beyond his current rank. With this much strength, he knows he can't possibly lose this competition. His coworker finally catches up, asking if he's seriously considering entering. Gu Qingfeng confirms his intentions with a chillingly confident smile. He dismisses the warnings, certain that victory will silence any and all doubters. The guard is left speechless, wondering when the lazy intern became so arrogant. He calls out, questioning if a demon has possessed his once timid friend. But Gu Qingfeng is already sprinting off, leaving his concerned coworker in the dust. The guard can only watch in awe, stunned by his friend's newfound speed. The guard gives up, realizing there's no stopping his friend's sudden ambition. He frantically consults a manual, determined to find a rule to talk him out of it. Gu Qingfeng arrives at the righteous Qi Hall, the site of the competition's registration. He steps up to the registration table, immediately drawing whispers from the crowd. A smug-looking rival approaches another contestant, mocking him for even showing up. Gu Qingfeng waits his turn, his simple intern insignia setting him apart from the others. A young man named Ye Xuan announces his rank, 7th heaven of the Qi-gathering realm. The registrar questions his decision, surprised by his confidence at such a low level. The crowd erupts in mockery, calling him a foolish dreamer for overestimating his abilities. But Ye Xuan dismisses their taunts, arguing that true strength isn't just about cultivation level. Ye Xuan stands firm, calling out the crowd for their cowardice. The rival scoffs at his speech, but another contestant loudly voices his support. A lone supporter in the crowd gives an enthusiastic thumbs up. Inspired, the young man steps forward, praising Ye Xuan's admirable spirit. He admits he was too afraid to sign up due to his own low rank. But now, seeing Ye Xuan's bravery, he's decided to enter the competition too. The two underdogs stand together, ready to challenge the established order. He rallies behind Ye Xuan, speaking of a martial artist's duty to face any challenge. Ye Xuan adds that a life lived in fear is no life for a warrior at all. And just like that, his speech inspires a whole new wave of hopefuls. The young man approaches Ye Xuan, eager to form an alliance of underdogs. He grasps his hand, sealing their newfound partnership in a firm handshake. He believes that together, they can shock the competition and make a name for themselves. But Gu Qingfeng chimes in, admitting his rank is even lower than theirs. And just like that, Ye Xuan's face fills with a deep, profound sense of regret. The crowd's mockery immediately shifts to Gu Qingfeng, the new laughingstock of the hall. Unfazed, he waves off his new friend's concern and steps up to the registration desk. He calmly announces his name and rank, officially entering the tournament. The scene shifts to a dark, moonlit forest far from the bustling hall. Ye Xuan reads through the night, realizing he'll need a weapon to survive the coming days. Gu Qingfeng rides through the night, his mind set on the Wood King's sword. But a sudden presence in the woods makes him pause. A massive orb of green energy hangs in the sky, bathing the forest in an eerie light. He pushes forward, knowing he's left the main road far behind to find this place. He correctly assumes that such a treasure must be guarded by powerful demons. And for our boy, demons are just walking, screaming experience points. He leaps from his horse, his body crackling with newfound power. His fist glows with energy as he prepares for the coming battle. He lands with practiced ease, ready for whatever this forest throws at him. But instead of a monster, a single glowing insect drifts gently into his hand. He takes a moment to appreciate the strange beauty of the forest's glowing insects. Despite the dangers, he can't help but admire the scenery of this new world. But the sightseeing ends as he refocuses on his primary goal, the Wood King's sword. He finds the village eerily quiet, wondering if the lack of demons is a good or bad sign. He recalls the tree demon's words, pinpointing the sword's location in a temple backyard. Arriving at the temple, he cautiously makes his way toward the designated spot. In the center of the yard stands a massive tree, exactly as described. He notes its size, casually predicting it's on the fast track to becoming a demon itself. With his prize in sight, he confidently announces he's here to claim the weapon. The ground cracks open, revealing the sword and a rather unexpected umbrella. With a shovel in hand, Gu Qingfeng announces it's time to get to work. He drives the shovel into the earth, beginning his excavation. He hums a cheerful tune, clearly enjoying his late-night treasure hunt. The shovel strikes something hard, a flash of light confirming his success. A greedy smile spreads across his face. He's finally hit the jackpot. He uncovers an ancient wooden box, practically glowing in the moonlight. With bated breath, he pries open the lid to reveal the contents within. But inside lies a simple, almost plain-looking wooden sword. His excitement plummets, wondering if the tree demon just pranked him with a toy. Disappointed but not defeated, he reaches down to claim the blade. He notes the sword's rough texture, deciding to test it out anyway. With a mighty swing, he brings the blade down on his trusty shovel. The wooden sword makes contact, a test of strength against simple steel, and the legendary weapon immediately shatters into a dozen pieces. Gu Qingfeng is horrified. The shovel won, and his epic sword is now firewood. He seethes with rage, promising the tree demon a very painful massage session. But as he glares at the hilt, he sees the broken pieces begin to reform. The fragments fall to the ground, sinking into the earth with an eerie glow. Suddenly, tendrils of green energy erupt from the soil where the pieces landed. Gu Qingfeng can only watch as the energy snakes toward the giant tree. A massive spiritual entity erupts from the tree, its form taking shape behind him. But Gu Qingfeng's focus is on the hilt, now pulsing with a vibrant green energy. The sword reforms in his hand, and he unleashes a powerful, if slightly unoriginal, attack cry. He swings the newly formed energy blade, cutting a brilliant blue arc through the air. The attack connects, tearing a massive gash in the ancient tree's trunk. A slow smile spreads across his face as he finally understands the sword's true power. He sits back in the dirt, processing the events of his very productive evening. He recalls the demon's instructions. The sword can only be bound by blood. Gu Qingfeng stares at his hand, realizing this legendary weapon isn't exactly plug and play. The scene shifts, showing him clumsily practicing with a pair of wooden swords. A sudden headache grips him, a sign that something is terribly wrong. On the ground, the wooden sword begins to sprout small glowing tendrils. Before he can react, the tendrils shoot out, wrapping around his body. The vines tighten, glowing with a strange energy as they dig into his skin. His life force is pulled from his body, feeding the spectral blade above him. The sword pulses with a malevolent red light, growing stronger with every beat. He's learning a critical lesson the hard way. The user manual is not optional. The weapon's true, parasitic nature is revealed in the darkness. He feels his power being drained, the sword's hunger seemingly endless. But Gu Qingfeng fights back, unleashing his own power to tame the ravenous blade. The spectral blade retracts its draining tendrils at his command. He lands firmly on the ground, the weapon now solid in his grasp. The backlash hits him, the sword's wicked power coursing through his veins. He realizes a weapon this strong normally requires a master of a much higher realm. But his unique constitution allows him to bypass the rules, feeding the sword his own energy. Without his system, he would have been nothing more than a dried-up husk. The system confirms the sword's identity, a degraded Earth-rank weapon with regenerative powers. He grips the hilt, realizing the tree demon was telling the truth after all. He decides to reward the demon for its honesty in his own special way. After all, a living battery is far too valuable to just let go. Meanwhile, Ye Xuan, the underdog from the registration hall, is caught in a sudden storm. He takes shelter in an abandoned temple, discovering a headless, broken statue within. An unseen force sends him stumbling deeper into the dilapidated sanctuary. He recalls the lore. The mountain god statue is a powerful ward against evil, but its destruction is a dire omen, signaling the arrival of a great calamity. Deciding to wait out the storm, he starts a fire, hoping his detour won't be a total loss. He pulls out a dry pancake for dinner, his expression less than thrilled with the rations. After one bite, he tosses the awful meal aside, his standards clearly unshaken by the apocalypse. Just then, two figures approach the temple, their footsteps splashing in the rain. The sound puts him on high alert, wondering if the demons have already come knocking. The newcomers decide this temple is the perfect place to wait out the storm. Rain continues to lash against the crumbling walls of the sanctuary. A veiled woman and her entourage step out of the downpour seeking refuge. Yishuan turns, his expression cautious as he studies the unexpected guests. He breathes a quiet sigh of relief. At least they're human, not demons. The group approaches his small fire, their presence filling the ruined hall. Her large bald-headed guard addresses the woman, noting the severity of the storm. But his eyes are drawn to the insignia on Yeshuan's chest, the mark of a demon hunter. The woman agrees to stay, instructing her men to secure the area while she rests. Her loyal attendants take up their positions, standing guard against the stormy night. Yishan sits by the fire, unimpressed by the guard's intimidating posture. Outside, the rest of the entourage stands watch in the pouring rain. They remain vigilant as lightning cracks across the stormy sky. The veiled woman approaches a young man, inquiring about his well-being. The young master returns the pleasantries, his smile hiding a condescending air. The bald guard tosses a silver ingot onto the temple floor. He tells Yeshuan to take the money and find shelter elsewhere. But Yeshuan defiantly bites into his stale pancake, refusing to be bought off so easily. He declares their offer insufficient, and the young master challenges him to name his price. With a steely gaze, Yeshuan demands a hefty sum of 24 tiles. The bald guard's aura flares, warning Yeshuan not to push his luck. Yeshuan realizes he's picked a fight with someone far out of his league, but the veiled woman intervenes, stating they can't simply kick him out. She apologizes for her companion's behavior, her gentle words diffusing the tension. The young master, however, still tries to haggle the price down. The woman sits with Yeshuan, reminding him of the real dangers lurking in the storm. Her kindness prevails, and her entourage offers a formal apology for their actions. Yeshuan quietly eats his pancake, regretting his brief career as a high-stakes negotiator. But outside, a flash of lightning reveals a blade dripping with fresh blood. One of the guards lies dead on the temple steps, the storm's first victim. The veiled woman offers him a piece of chicken, a simple gesture of peace. Her guards protest their dwindling supplies, but Yeshuan humbly accepts the offer. Their hands brush as he takes the food, a brief spark of contact in the dim light. The woman turns away, a sudden blush rising beneath her veil. Her guards look ready to defend her honor over a chicken leg as Yeshuan tries to calm them. He thanks the woman for her kindness, and she introduces herself as Si Wei. He gives the name Gu Qingfeng, weaving a quick story about visiting his father. Si Wei is delighted by the coincidence, revealing she is also from Wutong County. She asks him to share stories of the region, and the two begin to talk by the fire. But from the shadows, the bald guard watches their exchange with cold suspicion. The bald guard suddenly raises a hand, demanding absolute silence from the group. He orders the others to protect Si Wei as he heads outside to investigate the disturbance. With a final command, he leaves the others to stand guard inside the temple. He leaps into the storm, a silent shadow moving through the heavy downpour. Standing in the rain, a grim expression crosses his face as he surveys the area. He discovers the bodies of his men, cut down in the courtyard without a sound. He realizes they were killed instantly, the storm masking their final moments. His gaze snaps upward, sensing an unseen presence watching from the rooftops. A sinister figure appears, taunting the guard for finally noticing his arrival. The assassin looks down from his perch, ready to face the old ghost king. The assassin descends in a torrent of red energy, mocking the guard's choice of route. He lands with a predatory crouch, his wicked smile promising a swift and brutal end. The bald guard's eyes widen in recognition. He's facing the blood demon sect's Whitebone Elder. The elder confirms his identity, offering to spare the guard's life in exchange for the girl. But the guard draws his blade, its purple aura flaring as he vows to protect his mistress. Inside, the group hears his defiant shout, Si Wei watching with growing dread. Yeshuan stands, the name Whitebone Elder echoing in his mind as the situation escalates. The young master demands answers, and Si Wei explains they're facing a cult of demon worshippers. He elaborates that the sect's members are twisted beings, and this elder is a powerful expert. Si Wei covers her mouth in horror, realizing the true, gruesome nature of their new enemy. The revelation sends Si Wei stumbling backward in a panic. Her eyes are wide with fear, the weight of the danger finally sinking in. But Yeshuan moves quickly, catching her before she falls. Flustered, she thanks him, her composure shaken by the sudden proximity. She wonders aloud why the sect would target her, connecting it to her father. The young master explains that her father's recent victory has made her a target for revenge. Yixuan realizes he's stumbled into a high-stakes political kidnapping plot. So much for a quiet night. He approaches the young master, asking if they're facing humans or actual demons. He claims that fighting demons is his expertise, and he needs to confirm the enemy's nature. He then formally introduces himself with his alias, Gu Qingfeng of the Demon Suppression Bureau. Siwei's eyes light up with hope, asking if his bureau training gives him an edge. But her attendants can only laugh at the absurd suggestion. The young master dismisses him as a low-level hunter, completely out of his depth. Siwei's hope fades, now urging him to stay back and let her guards protect him. But Yexuan presses on, needing to know if their foe is human or demon. The young master reveals the grim truth. They are twisted half-breeds, part human, part demon. Yexuan internally consults his own system, a secret weapon he's kept hidden. But the system delivers bad news. It only works against pure demons, not hybrids. His face falls. If the guards lose, his ace in the hole is completely useless. And just like that, the fight outside is over, with the bald guard defeated on the ground. The bald guard's sword clatters to the floor as the Whitebone Elder steps inside. The Elder summons a monstrous figure, questioning if it's a zombie or a sprite demon. He reveals his army of the undead, skeletal warriors animated by his dark power. One of Siwei's remaining guards grips his sword, preparing for the inevitable fight. Her two attendants leap forward, ready to defend their mistress from the coming horde. They stand back to back, a final line of defense against a sea of skeletal monsters. The young master panics, but the guards know a simple barrier won't be enough. One of the guards silences him, his expression grim and resolved. No time for cowardice now. He ignites his own life force, preparing to unleash a final, desperate technique. A torrent of blue energy erupts from his body, a self-sacrificial blast to hold back the tide. The skeletal horde surges forward, an unstoppable tide of dark energy. But the young master sits calmly, gathering his power in a vortex of golden flame. Meanwhile, Yexuan holds his own, confident he can handle these lesser minions. Suddenly, a hulking, bronze-armored demon materializes right behind Siwei. Its shadowy claws lash out, a silent and deadly strike aimed at the unsuspecting girl. But the young master's barrier springs to life, stopping the attack just in time. He staggers to his feet, wounded but successful in protecting his charge. His sword is shattered, a testament to the demon's unexpected strength. Still, he smiles through the pain, his duty to protect Siwei fulfilled. Outside the barrier, the other guard is completely overwhelmed by the skeletal army. Outside, the Whitebone Elder's crimson power overwhelms the guard's defenses. The loyal protector is sent flying back, completely overpowered by the initial assault. The Elder lands gracefully, taunting the guard for his futile resistance. Another clash of steel sends the guard's sword spinning through the air. The Elder welcomes him to the true battlefield, a place of certain death. The bald guard's blade clatters uselessly onto the rain-soaked ground. With his opponent disarmed, the Elder declares that no one will escape. But the guard isn't finished, his body beginning to surge with a hidden power. He unleashes his true strength, his muscles bulging as he prepares for one last stand. The Elder just smirks, questioning if this lone guard truly wishes to die. The guard unleashes a final, desperate punch, his fist glowing with violet power. But the Whitebone Elder stops the attack with a single hand, completely unimpressed. He counters with a blast of crimson energy, sending the guard flying. The loyal protector crashes against the temple wall, his last stand brutally cut short. The Elder realizes the guard used a forbidden art, turning himself into a silver-armored demon. He praises the power of the undead, creatures that only need blood to survive. Inside, Siwei and Yexuan watch in horror, realizing the guard's terrible sacrifice. The Elder turns his attention to the temple as the guard urges his mistress to flee. He stands before them, a shadowy figure of death, telling them to run while they can. But Yexuan has an idea, wondering if his system considers these zombies to be demons. Yexuan steps forward, declaring it's time to reveal his true righteous power. Siwei is utterly baffled by his sudden and cryptic announcement. He clarifies that for the price of a chicken leg, he'll handle the Elder for her. The young master scoffs, telling Siwei to ignore the ravings of a terrified madman. Yexuan calmly tells the other guard to step aside, preparing to take center stage. A golden aura begins to envelop him, as he channels his hidden strength. Siwei cries out in alarm as he walks directly into the path of the undead horde. The skeletal demons immediately swarm him, a tide of purple malice and bone. Suddenly, a golden sword descends from above, striking the temple floor with force. Siwei can only watch in horror, certain she's just witnessed his final moments. The young master watches on, believing Gu Qingfeng is making a noble sacrifice for their escape. But in reality, Our boy is just farming defense points from the endless demon horde. The swirling mass of demons drifts toward the door as the others wonder if he's still alive. Inside the vortex, the skeletal warriors unleash a relentless, chaotic assault. And right on cue, the system announces a major defensive skill evolution: adamantine body. The young master can only stare in disbelief, realizing Gu Qingfeng somehow survived. Outside, the Whitebone Elder is caught completely off guard as the demonic swarm vanishes. A brilliant flash of blue energy erupts from Gu Qingfeng, vaporizing the remaining minions. He stands revealed in the rain, facing down the Elder without a single scratch on him. Gu Qingfeng offers a confident smirk, clearly unimpressed and ready for the real fight. The Whitebone Elder's shock gives way to a twisted, predatory grin. He unleashes his ultimate attack, the Bone Evil Fire, mocking the boy for his foolish pride. He boasts that this soul-corrupting flame was forged from countless lives over decades. But a calm voice cuts through the roar, commenting on how pleasantly warm it is. The Elder recoils, sending another blast of his cursed fire toward the unbothered hunter. And the system, ever the opportunist, rewards him with a brand new fire mastery skill. Gu Qingfeng stands wreathed in flames he now commands, asking if that's all the Elder has. The villain can only shriek in disbelief, his ultimate technique rendered completely useless. He realizes with dawning horror that he can no longer sense his own power. With his fire now in Gu Qingfeng's hand, the Elder makes a final, desperate bid to kill him. The Elder screams in protest, demanding the return of the power he spent decades creating. Gu Qingfeng agrees to give it back, stomping his foot to launch the counterattack. He unleashes the stolen fire, sending a torrent of crimson energy after the fleeing villain. The Elder can only watch in horror as his own ultimate technique bears down on him. His face contorts in a mask of pure terror, realizing his fate is sealed. A massive explosion of soul fire erupts, obliterating a section of the temple grounds. The beam of red light tears through the night, a testament to a power now in new hands. Inside, Siwei and the young master shield their eyes from the blinding, overwhelming energy. The shockwave sends the remaining guards tumbling as the onlookers stare in disbelief. Gu Qingfeng watches the aftermath calmly, noting the fight is almost over. The young master is caught in the blast, coughing up a mouthful of blood. His attendants are sent flying, crying out for their fallen master. The dust settles, revealing the battered but living survivors of the blast. Gu Qingfeng looks on, slightly confused by the friendly fire incident. Siwei rushes toward him, calling out his name in concern. He checks on her first, confirming that she's unharmed by the chaos. They all turn to the spot where the Elder once stood, now just a pile of ash. Gu Qingfeng realizes with horror he just vaporized a treasure trove of loot. Siwei mistakes his greed-fueled anguish for battle fatigue. He assures her he's fine, his attention momentarily distracted. Siwei is completely flustered, her face burning with a sudden blush. She tries to regain her composure, but her eyes betray her growing admiration. Her attendants notice, questioning if their mistress is falling for the mysterious hunter. The young master decides it's inevitable. Who could resist such a powerful man? But Gu Qingfeng brushes it all off, his mind on a far more important matter: barbecue. The young master is stunned, but Gu Qingfeng offers his simple, profound philosophy. His words leave the others completely speechless, their minds reeling from the whiplash. They stand together in the ruined temple, the battle over and the storm now past. True to his word, he moves to restart the fire, ready to finish his meal. But the bald guard stops him, offering a deep bow of gratitude and respect. The guard insists on thanking him, but Gu Qingfeng simply says it was his duty. Besides, he adds with a smirk, her delicious barbecue was payment enough. The guard formally introduces himself as the steward for the new magistrate of Wutong County. This revelation seems to catch both Siwei and the young master completely by surprise. Determined to offer a proper reward, the steward reaches into his robes. He presents a golden token, the official seal of the county magistrate himself. He explains that this token will grant Gu Qingfeng significant influence within the county. Gu Qingfeng accepts the token with a grin, never one to turn down a useful tool. Even the arrogant young master is now kneeling in a show of profound respect. He admits his own foolishness, thanking Gu Qingfeng for saving them despite his insults. The young master remains on the floor, begging for punishment for his earlier arrogance. Gu Qingfeng agrees with a cold smile, confirming that a punishment is indeed in order. Siwei looks on with concern, calling out to the young master who saved her. Her eyes widen in alarm, fearing what kind of retribution he has in mind. But the bald guard holds her back, warning her not to offend such a powerful figure. Gu Qingfeng then reveals his sentence, a fine of 24 taels of silver. Siwei's fear melts into a charmed smile, while the guard is left utterly dumbfounded. The young master practically weeps with relief, offering to pay far more for his mistake. Gu Qingfeng's heroic facade cracks, revealing the greedy opportunist underneath. The bald guard scolds the young master, telling him to be grateful for such a merciful judgment. The young master argues that it would be an insult for such a hero to pay for anything. He continues his dramatic apology, thanking Gu Qingfeng for his profound mercy. Gu Qingfeng looks on, unimpressed, as the young master begs him to accept the gold. The young master presents the ingot with both hands, still kneeling in reverence. Gu Qingfeng stands over him, the very picture of a calm and forgiving master. But internally, he's calculating the lost profits, wondering why the guard stopped the payment. The bald guard is left sweating, completely baffled by his new master's priorities. Gu Qingfeng tells the young master to rise, putting an end to the awkward affair. The others can only praise his noble character, completely misreading the situation. The scene shifts to the Wutong County government office, covered in cobwebs and shadows. With the battle won, the group finally enjoys their barbecue around the campfire. As the night settles in, Gu Qingfeng takes a moment to himself, lost in thought. He reflects on how quickly their attitudes changed once he revealed his true power. The system chimes in, officially cataloging the new skills he earned in the fight. He now possesses an unbreakable defense and the ability to control any flame. With a smirk, he summons the crimson fire he stole from the Whitebone Elder. All in all, it was a very profitable night of demon slaying and skill farming. The scene shifts to the next day in a clean but slightly damaged courtyard. A hand reaches down to pick up a cloth-wrapped bundle from the stone path. Gu Qingfeng looks up, his attention suddenly caught by an unseen person. Siwei approaches him, asking if he will accompany her back to Wutong County. Her gaze is filled with a hopeful, almost shy anticipation. She offers a gentle smile, her beauty framed by a shower of blossoms. And for a moment, even Gu Qingfeng is completely captivated by the sight. She calls out his name, snapping him out of his brief, star-struck trance. He quickly regains his composure, formally accepting her gracious invitation. Siwei is overjoyed, asking him to look after her on their journey. 2 days later, their party finally arrives at the gates of Wutong County. Gu Qingfeng rides alongside the entourage, his unexpected detour now complete. He bids Siwei farewell, explaining he must rush back to his duties at the bureau. From her carriage, Siwei wishes him a safe journey, her face flushed with admiration. She watches him ride away, a lone figure disappearing into the streets of the county. Her steward reassures her that they'll have plenty of opportunities to see him again. With a happy blush, she instructs her men to head for her father's mansion. The scene shifts to the martial arts arena, where the competition is about to begin. A crowd of hopefuls has gathered, including a confident warrior with an eye patch. From the sidelines, a group of seasoned fighters eyes the contestants with disdain. The gong sounds, announcing the first match, Ye Xuan versus a ninth heaven expert. The two fighters take their positions in the center of the massive arena. And with a sharp clash of blades, the tournament officially begins. The crowd mocks Ye Xuan, certain his arrogance will lead to a quick defeat. His opponent scoffs at Ye Xuan's earlier claims that cultivation level doesn't matter. The higher-ranked fighter moves in for what he believes is the finishing blow. The spectators eagerly await the moment the underdog is forced to beg for mercy. But in a stunning reversal, it's the ninth heaven expert who's on the ground. Ye Xuan stands victorious, his golden aura proving his strength was no mere boast. Elsewhere in the arena, Gu Qingfeng ends his own match with a single decisive blow. He casually dismisses his opponent, who barely lasted 3 moves against him. He tells the defeated fighter to come back in a few years for a proper challenge. Gu Qingfeng helps the dazed man to his feet, his victory almost an afterthought. The young man from the registration hall grabs his arm, full of concern. The gong sounds, announcing Gu Qingfeng's next match against a ninth heaven expert. His new friend tries to talk him out of it, but Gu Qingfeng won't back down from his word. He walks toward the arena, his expression calm and unwavering. The crowd erupts in laughter, mocking the third heaven fool for his arrogance. The young man is filled with regret, believing he's led his new friend to ruin. He can only watch on, his face a mask of guilt and worry. Elsewhere, a guard stops a woman from interfering, reminding her of the arena's strict rules. His opponent, Lin Xiao, sees him as nothing more than a free win. He smirks, certain that this fight is already over before it's even begun. But Gu Qingfeng calmly corrects him, stating the match hasn't even started. Lin Xiao offers him a chance, telling him to draw his weapon and make his move. He questions why Gu Qingfeng is standing there completely empty-handed. But our boy confidently replies that he doesn't need a sword to deal with him. Lin Xiao insists, claiming he doesn't bully the unarmed and wants a fair fight. He makes an arrogant offer. If Gu Qingfeng can make him move, he'll concede defeat. Gu Qingfeng finally draws his blade, warning that arrogance is a dangerous flaw. He holds the Wood King's sword, reminding Lin Xiao that he's the one who set these terms. Lin Xiao's confidence shatters as he recognizes the legendary weapon in his hands. Gu Qingfeng proudly presents the Wood King's sword, inviting his foe to take a closer look. The crowd erupts in laughter, calling him a madman for bringing a toy to a sword fight. Lin Xiao accuses him of trying to humiliate him with a cheap distraction. But Gu Qingfeng just smirks, asking if he'll complain about losing to a mysterious weapon. Lin Xiao is left completely speechless, his confidence now visibly shaken. Gu Qingfeng sarcastically praises his opponent's sportsmanship before taking his stance. He then lunges forward, a streak of blue energy cutting through the air. The attack crosses the entire arena in the blink of an eye. Gu Qingfeng closes the distance, his simple wooden blade aimed at his opponent's heart. The sword stops just short, drawing a single drop of blood from Lin Xiao's chest. Still unimpressed, Lin Xiao demands an end to these childish games. But just as before, the tip of the wooden sword simply snaps off. Gu Qingfeng watches with a completely unimpressed expression. Lin Xiao stares at his hand, now bleeding from an unseen force. He looks down at the broken tip, utterly baffled by what just happened. He turns, the horrifying truth of the weapon finally dawning on him. A massive spiritual tree erupts from the ground, its energy crackling around him. He realizes his mistake. He's the clown who underestimated a legendary weapon. The tendrils lash out, and his offer to stand still comes back to haunt him. He's completely ensnared, trapped within the sword's wooden prison. The vines tighten their grip, crushing the arrogant fighter into submission. Gu Qingfeng calmly tells his ensnared opponent that it's time to surrender. But Lin Xiao seethes with rage, calling the victory cheap and unskilled. Gu Qingfeng reminds him that he was the one who insisted on a weapon duel. The trapped fighter argues that no one could have known it was a legendary blade. Our boy points out he literally announced the sword's name and rank beforehand. Still refusing to accept defeat, Lin Xiao demands a rematch without weapons. Gu Qingfeng turns to the judges, asking them to clarify the official rules. The eye-patch-wearing supervisor laughs, clearly enjoying the young man's audacity. Her stern companion confirms it. There is no rule against using spiritual weapons. And with the strike of a gong, the sore loser's fate is sealed. Gu Qingfeng wins. The vines retract, leaving the once arrogant fighter defeated in the arena. With his point proven, Gu Qingfeng turns to leave without a second glance. But the sore loser scrambles to his feet, demanding a rematch. Gu Qingfeng just smirks, clearly done entertaining this particular clown. A senior official orders Lin Xiao to accept his defeat and step down. Gu Qingfeng gives a cheerful wave, happy to see the official ruling. But as he walks away, the official calls out, asking him to wait. Gu Qingfeng turns, immediately asking if the man wants to buy his sword. The official agrees, offering 1,000 taels of gold for the powerful weapon. Gu Qingfeng feigns offense, declaring his family heirloom isn't for sale. The official's eyes narrow, his polite facade dropping for just a moment. He turns to leave, the negotiation seemingly over for now. But a familiar voice calls out his name, Manhwa. It's the eye-patch-wearing supervisor, waving him over with a friendly smile. She reminds him that attacking a colleague over a weapon is strictly forbidden. Manhwa agrees, claiming a gentleman wouldn't stoop to such tactics. The supervisor then wishes Gu Qingfeng luck, and he thanks her for the intervention. She watches him go, a hint of a blush on her cheek. Looks like our boy has a fan. But Manhwa cuts her off, telling her to focus on the tournament. He may have backed down publicly, but he secretly vows to make Gu Qingfeng give up the sword. The scene shifts, a single candle burning brightly against the darkness. Back in his quarters, Gu Qingfeng reflects on this world's obsession with cultivation levels. He realizes that beyond power, a higher level also means a much longer life. He opens a manual, learning the Bureau's foundational Pure Yang technique. With his new goal set, he begins to meditate, channeling the Pure Yang energy. His training session seems to last through the night as a new day dawns. But a sudden realization shatters the morning's peaceful tranquility. Gu Qingfeng jolts awake, horrified that he simply dozed off mid-cultivation. He laments how boring the process is, asking his system for a convenient shortcut. The system responds, and he studies the glowing screen with a thoughtful expression. He questions the system's choices, wondering if it's trying to turn him into a brute. The system delivers some bad news. It can't directly increase his cultivation level. He argues back, pointing out his current cultivation level in frustration. But the system clarifies that his current realm is just a tutorial level. He desperately asks for a loophole, but the system is a stickler for the rules. The system's response is a firm and surprisingly physical rejection. He realizes that with his natural talent, this is going to take a very long time. With no easy way out, he decides to head back to the tournament. He makes his way through the massive crowd gathered for the next round. He's taken aback by the sheer number of spectators and competitors. A familiar face from the registration hall calls out his name in the crowd. The young man then loudly announces his arrival, turning every head in the vicinity. In an instant, Gu Qingfeng is completely swarmed by a mob of curious fighters. Word has clearly spread. They all know him as the wielder of the legendary sword. They praise the weapon's mysterious aura, their awe growing with every word. He's trapped in a sea of feet, his personal space now a distant memory. The crowd grows bolder, reaching for the sword and begging for a closer look. Offers to buy the weapon fly through the air, turning the arena into a chaotic auction. An official finally intervenes, forcefully clearing a path through the overzealous fans. With the chaos settled, Gu Qingfeng is told it's time for his next match. Gu Qingfeng makes his way to the arena, an official trailing behind him. His opponent, a shirtless fighter, eyes the legendary weapon with a mix of awe and arrogance. He decides his only chance is to strike before the sword can be used. With a burst of speed, he lunges forward, his blade glowing with power. But his attack is stopped cold by a massive wooden shield that erupts from the ground. The fighter is stunned, unable to comprehend the shield's impossible strength. The sheer force of the block sends him flying backward across the arena. He lands, his surprise attack completely thwarted by the sword's defensive power. The shield reforms around Gu Qingfeng, leaving his opponent to wonder how to fight a walking fortress. Gu Qingfeng stands calmly within his new wooden armor, looking utterly untouchable. The shirtless fighter hacks away at the wooden armor, his blades clanging uselessly against the tendrils. He can only watch in shock as a tendril snakes around his sword, locking it in place. The weapon is then ripped from his hand with contemptuous ease. He's thrown to the ground, his brief and very loud career in the tournament now over.